All right, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad all of you are able to join us today. And what we have here, what I'm going to do today is share with you the two primary things that are going to be critical for us. First of all, the stock selection. How do we know which are the stocks to trade? There are thousands of stocks on the stock market, and do we trade all of those? What do we do? Okay, and so this one, I had shared with you kind of a whole list of stocks that that I had suggested, which were actually the lower price stocks below 200 rupees, and but it doesn't matter. You can select, any list of stocks. So I have quite a long list of stocks right here, as you can see, and I shared with you, all of you, a link that gives you my watch list, the one that I've done already. So sometimes I feel kind of uneasy doing that, because I hope I'm not doing a disservice to you by kind of doing the work for you. But then I thought, I'm already doing it anyway, but I want to just make sure to show you the process that I go through. Okay, so here's what I do. Here we go. First of all, I make three, whatever they call this. Let's see, what do they call this? They call it sections. Yeah, three of these sections. The first one, so to add the sections, all you have to do is right click and press add section, and then you can rename the section also. So first one, I called it monthly, weekly, daily. Second one, I called it monthly and weekly only. Second one, I called it monthly and weekly only. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. As you can see, monthly and weekly only right there. Third one, monthly only. And then the one on the bottom, not selected. Okay, that means, so what I'm looking for is, I want the 20 period moving average above the 200 period moving average. All right, that's what I'm looking for. So I'll start with the one on the bottom. So this is the basic process that I go through. I start with the one on the bottom, and then I open three tabs. The first one, I open it on the monthly chart. Okay, and once that opens up, you'll have to make some adjustments a little bit. I'll get to that in just a minute. Second one, you open up the weekly chart. Okay. And the third one, you open up the daily chart. There we are. Okay, if this is too common for some of you, please bear with us. And for those who, and I'll only do a few as a sample. My internet is a bit slow, but no problem. Here is the monthly chart. So the monthly chart obviously means that each candle represents 1 month of trading. All right, each candle represents 1 month of trading. All right, here is the weekly chart, which means that each candle or each bar represents 1 week of trading. All right. And this is what I'm using. All right. I'm using Zerodha, the Indian list, as default for this class, just simply for the sake of explanation. You can use any. Okay, it could be any market. The principles all work the same. All right, so first thing, I go to the monthly chart and I want to see, is the 200 above the, is the 20 period moving average above the 200? Now, on this chart, you'll only see, so I have the 20 moving average and the 200 moving average right here. 200 is black and the 20 is blue. But here you'll see that there is no 200, okay? And that's because 200 months would be, I think, about 15 years or so, quite a bit, okay? And All right. Okay, someone said that I'm not able to add sections since it's a free account. All right, sorry about that. So maybe what you can do is add a particular stock there that kind of is an indicator. I did that before, like for example, not a stock, but maybe a symbol. Like for example, I have Nifty. And then in the US, I would have the Dow Jones, S&P 500, like that. You can have the Nifty or things like that. A couple of things as a place marker. So you can place it like that. That's another way to do it if you're using a free account. Okay. So here we are. So there is no record for 15 years for this MMTC stock. So what do I do? Well, first thing I do is I check to see, since this is monthly, this is already several years, I check to see how it's moving. And it's been sideways all this time. So I'm not going to bother selecting this. Okay, so I go to the next one above that. Next one is Bank of Baroda. Okay, so I look at that one. Does it have 200 period moving average? Well, it doesn't. Well, it does. Okay, I'm sorry. My internet is slow. Okay, it does have it. Okay, so, but I also look at this and I say, well, the 20 is above the 200, but look what's been happening. And this is monthly. So that means this is 2010. Look at that, 2010. It went near the all-time high, went down again, and then 2014, it tried again, and now it went up to the top again, October 23, and we'll see what happens here. But it hasn't broken through this all-time high in more than 13 years. Okay, so a stock like that, I am not going to bother. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. Canara Bank, okay, has the 200, but the 20 is below that, so I'm not even going to look at that. But then also you can see that it's been sideways all the way since November 2010 and even before. Okay, Zomato is a very recent one, and look what's happening there. It had gone down terribly, and then it made a huge jump coming back up. But that doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to trade that at all. I'm just leaving it there. Okay. All right. So I can keep going, and then anyway. So let's go to my next list. The next list is going to be the monthly only. That means these are the ones that are trending only on the monthly chart. Okay, if you notice the first one, since it did not trend on the monthly chart, I didn't bother looking at the weekly or daily. Okay, so here the 20 is above the 200 on the monthly chart. Okay, so that's Rallis. So I'm going to go to the weekly and look what that looks like. Let's see. Here's Rallis on the weekly chart. Okay, monthly chart, it was looking all right. On the weekly chart, look what's happening with Rallis. Okay, so it's not looking good. Another one, UPL on the monthly, it's looking good. It only has a little bit of history as far as the 200, but it is looking good. It's above, but on the weekly, let's see what happens. Okay, on the weekly, the 20 is below. All right. So I've separated the ones that are trending only in the monthly. The next one is monthly and weekly only. Let's look at those. Monthly and weekly only. All right. Here we are. HDFC Bank. Monthly, it's looking good. 20 is above the 200. HDFC Bank, again, on the weekly. All right, see, the 20 is above the 200. It's trending on the weekly. Now, let's look and see what's happening on the daily chart. Sorry, much of the delay is due to my slow internet. All right, so the daily chart doesn't look good. The 20 is below the 200. Okay, so that's monthly and weekly only. And the rest, I move it to the top, which is monthly, weekly, and daily. These are the ones that I want to be trading. And then daily. Here we are. Okay. So here it is. Monthly, it's looking good. Great Eastern Shipping. And there's only a little bit of record, okay, for the 200 period moving average, but it's still there and it's above. And we'll see what happens with the all-time high, if it's going to get rejected or will it push through. Because you'll see that all of these were all-time highs and it kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Look at that. It faced a little bit of resistance, but it kept pushing. And then here's a weekly. Look at that. Okay. 20 is above the 200. And the daily, 20 is above the 200. Okay. Daily is also looking good. I don't know what this line was. I drew that for something. Let me remove that. Okay, there was a trend line that I had drawn. All right. Okay, so this is how I separate my my watch list, and then on the top is my most premium ones. In other words, these are the ones that I trade. Now, if I don't find anything there, I might go to the monthly and weekly only, which seems to be a smaller list. All right, so this is how I make my watch list, and then I shared my watch list with all of you just recently, and I sent you the link. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment and see if anyone has questions, and we can take any questions you have. You can put in the chat box, or you can ask the questions. As I said, feel free to, yeah, we have one question in the chat box. Let me see.
Hi, Pastor Alexi.
Hi,
Can
how
you
are
hear
you?
me? Yeah, good. So my question is about these two stocks that I often trade, and they very often they give me good profit also. One is Gravita and
Okay.
the other is HSCL. So every time I go to buy them, there's always a warning, saying I don't remember exactly what Zerodha says, something about surveillance, long-term surveillance, something like that. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
So how much of a risk is it to buy these stocks? Because since the last 1 year, at least I've been trading at least once a month I buy them.
Yeah.
So
The ones that seems to have a consistent warnings, you can trade and still make money on it. But the only problem is, if there is ever a restriction on its trading from SEBI, then you're going to run into a problem where your funds can get stuck for several months. That's the risk.
but won't they be like will not SEBI give a warning,
But they're
or
giving
it'll
warning
just be
right
out
now,
of the blue?
right?
Okay.
By Zerodha is sharing this, and SEBI is giving the warning right now. Yeah.
Okay, so that's definitely a risk.
Right. There is a risk. There is a risk.
Okay.
Yeah. That has happened to me. So I know
Oh,
that there is a
okay.
risk. Yeah. And then you end up waiting, and then now Yes Bank had something like that put on it several years ago, and they froze it from anybody selling it, selling more than 100 shares of it. And it was difficult for a lot of people because they had invested money into it, hoping for a good increase and everything, but it never happened. Yeah.
And so how was it resolved?
They finally lifted the ban. they finally lifted the ban. And after a few years of investigations and everything, and they finally lifted the ban because there were good, strong companies that were backing them up. Now, when they lifted the ban, people were expecting the price to go up, significantly because because good big banks were backing them up, but it never did. It's still kind of going sideways. Yeah, but the people
So
who were
did you?
stuck with the funds, they were able to sell it. Yes.
Yeah. So did you sell it, or
I
you're still
did
holding
not
it?
sell it because the only amount that I had put in was a tiny amount that is
Okay.
kind of my under my risk category. So
Okay.
yeah. So I did.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And then Ajish asked how many stocks in your list. I don't know, but there's quite a bit. I believe it's close to 100 or more. There's quite a long list. I don't know exactly how many. Yeah. But then once I separate them like that, then then only these are the ones that I'm trading. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Questions about this stock selection for? Yeah, let me just get back to the video. All right. Anyone else regarding the stock selection? Shall I go to the entry then? The entry and the exit. Okay. Well, then let's go there. This is the fun part now. Okay. I hope this is visible to you. All right. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to go to the place where here we are. Okay. So on the place where I'm ready to trade, I'm using the 15-minute chart now. I have used the 5, the 10, and the 15, and they all seem to do fine. And I've just been testing different ones out, and they've been okay. I can use the 5, 10, or the 15, and the results all seem to be about the same. But when I do switch to a particular one, I try to stick to it for an entire month so I can really test it out and see how much of a difference there is. Okay, so let me go to GE Shipping and the Great Eastern Shipping, and I'm on a 5-minute chart. Please note that what we have is the 20-period moving average, and I have blue, and the 200-period moving average, I have black. All right. A couple of things that I have shared before in previous videos, I want to just reiterate. Remember that the price and the 20-period moving average are like close friends. So the price stays close to the 20-period moving average. Once in a while, it moves away, apart, far apart from the 20-period moving average, but then comes close. Now, it comes close either by the moving average coming lower or by the stock going up higher again. So, for example, here's another one. The 20, the price moved up far away from the 20, but then it came back close to the 20. Moved up away from the 20, came back close. So if the price is moved up like this, I don't want to enter because I know that it's going to come back down. The price is coming back down and coming close to the 20. All right. Let me use another one as an example. TCS. And again, here is the price. Look at that, staying close to the 20. Okay, it moved down away, but then it came close. Moved up away from the 20, came back close, like that. Now, once in a while, I use these to find an entry. I'll show you. If I can find a good one, I can show you. Let me look for some examples of what I intend. All right, IRTC, IRCTC, I haven't traded that in a while, but Yeah, it's so sometimes what I do is when the price goes away from the 20, I may enter expecting it to go back. But the problem here is that the 20 was already moving down. Look at that. And so the trajectory is down. So yes, the price and the 20 comes close together again, but that comes close together just because the not because the price goes up very high. Okay, but there are other examples which I cannot find right now. I didn't handpick any of them, and because I wanted to all of this to be a natural. Uh, yeah, all right. Let me look at one more. All right. So this is something that I have done previously. Like I find something that goes down like this, and then I check to see the price range and see if I enter here, do I have the possibility of getting 1%? Look at that. There's definitely a possibility of 1% right there. Okay. And these are two factors. One, the price has moved down far away from the 20. That's one. And the RSI is very low. The RSI being low does not mean that the price is going to go up for sure. Okay. But the RSI being down so low indicates that the price may not go down much further. Sometimes it may stay at the same rate, but it may not go down. So here's one that I would enter right here, and the price has gone down right there. I would enter. Now, again, we said that the 20-period moving average is on a downward trajectory. Now, at this point, the moving average is right here, and there's no way to know for sure which way it's going, right? So what I would do is I would draw a trend line just to kind of get an idea. All right, so I have a little bit of idea, even if there's only a little bit of a, what do you call it, history, like only the line may only be this big, okay? And when I enter somewhere around here, the line may only be this long. But then I may use this trend line to show what kind of a trajectory and if I still have enough of a move up. Okay, so that's one type of entry I look for, where the price has moved away from the 20 and it will go back. It's almost like a pulling a rubber band. It's going to go back together again. Okay, so that's one. And the second one is when the price moves away. All right, here's a, let me get rid of this. Okay, the second one is this, where the price, the 20-period moving average is close to the 200 and the 20 is rising. Okay, the 20 is rising above the 200-period moving average. And look at this. The RSI is low. The RSI is low, and the 20 and the 200 are close, and the 20 is on an upward trajectory. That's another good spot for entry. Look at them. These two things are converging together. The 200 and the 20 close to each other, and the 20 on an upward trajectory. At the same time, the RSI is low. Okay, that's the second one. Another one that I look for, and this has become my favorite for the last 2 or 3 months. I've been looking for this a lot. This is where I'm looking for the 200 below the 20. I'm sorry, the other way. The 20 below the 200. Okay, let me find a good example, and then we can move on. Today was a very, I think, a trending day, so these are not easy to find. Okay, here's another one. Okay, so here it is, where the price has gone below and the 200-period moving average has gone below, sorry, the 20-period moving average has gone below the 200. I'm sorry about the confusion there. 20 has gone below the 200. See that? All right, and this is a place, any of these places I would enter, because look at the RSI is also very low. So something like this, I would enter, especially this one right here. The price has gone far away from the 20, and the 20 has gone below the 200. okay, quite far below the 200, and the RSI is low. So I enter there, and then especially if the 200 is flat, I can look for a move up, okay? Because the trajectory may not be going down, trajectory may be going sideways, especially with the 200, because it is not easy to move the 200 period moving average, because it takes much more of a price movement to get it to move. All right. Okay, so these are some of the entries. All right. Yeah. I think somebody asked about the RSI. Yes, RSI is available in the Zerodha app, and you can use it there as well. Now, the one negative feature that we have is that the trading view no longer allows you to have 3 or 4 indicators together on the free account. You can only have, I think, what is it, 2? And so what I'm recommending is you have the 20 and the 200. That's it. Just keep those 2. All right. And then the RSI, you can have it on your broker, like Zerodha or something else. You can use the RSI there. Okay. Because now in foreign countries, I think, you can have the RSI and the moving averages, everything. You can set it up on your broker's chart, and that would work. But in India, what happens is the apps, the brokerages here, I've used many, more than 10. Zerodha seems to be my favorite. And it seems that Zerodha, you can set the 20 and the 200, but once you close that app, it won't be there anymore. You have to reset it again. So it's more laborious to do that. So the way that you can get around it is to set the 20 and the 200 on the trading view, and then put the RSI on your Zerodha or any brokerage that you are using. Or you can have trading view on a different device as a different account. That's one way to get around it. Okay, so I hope you saw the 3 different entry points. Okay, one is where the 20, the price moves away from the 20, and you're expecting it to go back. Price moves away from the 20, and you're expecting it to move back. The other one is where the price, the 20 period moving average and the 200 are close to each other, and the 20 is rising. But at that point, I would be looking for an RSI on the bottom, like below, like below 30. That's what I would be looking for. Okay. Now, this one, it wasn't below 30, but it still moved up. Now, that's not very common. Okay. All right. I see some questions. I'm using all 3 indicators in Zerodha, and it didn't get erased. Well, that's great. That's great. That's great. You can check it out and see if that works for you. Wonderful. Okay, and then the exit. Okay, I'm using the 1%. So what I often do now with Zerodha, it's nice. You can set the exit, right when you buy. But in other apps, you don't have that option. So what you can do is you can take this tool and measure 1% like this. Okay, you can measure 1% or approximately 1%, and by pressing that, see that, you can see the upper price. 365.80 would be the 1% price. If my purchase price is 362.10, then 1% or 1.03% would be 365.80. So I would set that in and set up a GTT. All right. Any other questions? Okay, I'm getting the questions in the good. How many hours do I need in a day, since I'm using a 15-minute chart, from opening of trade to close of day, or an hour or more in a day when you're free? If you're using, Ajish, are you asking how many hours do you spend in a day? Okay, for your trading. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I have regular working hours, so
Right.
maybe I can use maybe the work lunchtime or something to do this, or maybe
Sure.
take a break. So
Good.
that's why I was just
Good, good. So actually, what I'm recommending is that you take your capital and divide it into 3 or 4 or 5. Some entries that are very good and the market is moving in your direction, those entries you may end up selling on the same day. But others you end up selling the next day. So what often happens is in one day, I may trade only, I may take only one trade. In other words, I may buy only one stock and then set the GTT and I'm done. So I may end up only needing about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Now, I spend a bit more time because I help a lot of people. There's a lot of people on this group and also another group that I help as well. So because of that, I may spend more than 20 to 30 minutes a day on this. But I really believe you only need about 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. That's all you need. Okay? Because not all the trades that you enter, it's going to sell the same day. And then a good time to enter would be at your lunchtime or in the afternoon to find good trades. Why is that? Because during that time, you'll find more of this kind of a position where the 20 is below the 200. It shows up much more. All right. Any other questions? Okay, we have one more.
Yeah, uncle, I
Yes.
just want to ask one question regarding the RSI.
Sure.
If we look at the chart of a G shipping,
Yes.
okay, it's around the date is 9th November. Okay, so the problem that I see with the RSI is uh, on the level of 747, when the G ship was trading at 747, it was already below the 30, but it even go lower and it came down to 729 and it was lower that time also. So
Okay.
if
November. Sorry. When was this?
no, no, uncle, yes, you can continue.
Tell me which November when? Date?
It was 9th November.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Now continue, please. Repeat.
Yeah, so it was trading at the level of when it was trading at the level of 755. It was already below the 30. RSI was already below 30.
Yes.
Now it went even lower and it came down to 730, which
Right.
is a big difference. So
Right.
if I follow the rule and I trade at this level of 755, then I would end up losing the money and the time also, because then I will have to wait more few year the time to come at the
Right.
same level.
Right. Correct. I agree. So the none of these indicators are 100% accurate. What we are doing is using the moving averages and the RSI together to find higher probability trades. Okay, that's the key, higher probability. Anything is possible. Tomorrow there could be a war, everything can go down, that type of thing. Anything is possible, but what is probable? Probability means, okay, what are the higher chances? So you see this red down here, okay, and the price continuing to go down below that is not very common. It's actually quite rare. Okay, and if you look at the history, you can actually look back at the history, and it's not very common. And so now one of the things that I do is, since I select stocks like this, meaning it's trending on the monthly, weekly, and the daily, which are not easy to find, since I'm selecting only those types of stocks, I'm not putting a stop loss. Okay, now this might seem really bad to some of you as you listen to this. I'm not putting a stop loss. And the reason is because I'm quite confident that the probability is very high on these. Now, does that mean that I won't get stuck with my money down low? Well, yes, I do get stuck. I did get stuck last month. Sometimes for a whole month, it may be down. and I may only be able to trade, just a few. The others may be held down because the price went down 5, 8, or 10%. I've had some that the price went down 15%. I just waited. Sometimes you end up waiting a whole month. Okay, but I'm fine with that. Now, since it is not a day trade, I don't have to exit at the end of the day. I can hold it longer. Now, the chances of that happening and staying down there are quite less. Why do I say that? Because something like GE Shipping, okay, Great Eastern Shipping, well, we have a record of 15 years or more. And the more recent, the moving averages showing that the trend is quite strong. So we're only taking the very strong trending stocks. So because of that, I'm feeling quite confident that I could enter and not be terrified that it's going to finish me off. Okay. Now, I could have a few months where things go down. So I'm trading 12 months a year. Out of that, maybe 1 or 2 months, it can go down and then it will come back up again. Okay. So I hope that helps you, Moses. The idea here is that it's gone down, but I'm and this is rare, where it continues to go down. It's not very common. It's rare. Yeah.
And my another question
Sure.
is, if we see the BHEL, okay,
Which one?
BHEL,
BHEL. Okay.
BHEL, yeah. So if we see that chart, and that chart is in alignment of like 20, and then 60 and 200 on daily chart and weekly chart, but not on monthly chart. But if I look at those charts, and then those charts are really aligning with the strategies that we were previously using,
Yeah.
like what it was, that resistance, support and resistance, okay,
Sure.
and
Sure.
then the trend lines. So it was aligning with that. So should I trade with that strategy on that, or how should I divide the capital so that I am doing that strategy also and this 1% strategy also, or should I
Okay.
go with the just 1% strategy?
Now, I think you asked two different things. First one, you're saying that this one is not BHEL. Here it is. See, it's not on my selected list right there because it
Yeah.
wasn't trending on the monthly, the weekly, or the daily. So therefore, I did not.
Okay.
I'm not trading that because of that reason. Okay. Now, the second question is this. You were talking about support and resistance, right? Now,
Right.
once it breaks the resistance and goes above, okay? So when you're using a strategy like that, for example, here it is. Here is a point of support right here, okay? This is a point of support. Actually, it's a point of support and resistance, right? And this was a resistance right there, and it got pushed back down again. And then now this time it went through the resistance and continued on its way up. Okay. So when it breaks its resistance, that often is a good place to enter. And you can do that. And you can trade that. That is not a problem. Now, I would like to trade even that strategy. Wouldn't it be great if I traded that only on these, where the trend is monthly, weekly, and daily? It's trending really good. Okay, because if
Okay.
anything happens, I'm still safe. I know that it's a good trending stock. So I'm saying you can use the same strategy of support and resistance. You can use it in the, on stocks that are trending on the monthly, weekly, and daily chart as well.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You
Yeah.
can still use that strategy, but you can do it like that.
Okay.
Okay. Any others? And then the idea with the 1%, let me share this again one more time, is that sometimes the stocks may go up 1% and then quickly come back down, or it may go up 0.5% and go back down. Okay, so I'm just trying to get this little small swing. Let me just show you the. Okay, here's 1%. Okay, exactly 1% right there. See, there's I'm going to show you all the places where here's the 1% right there, just in the up and down. You can find the 1% move. Now this one here, it's, let me push that aside and show you something else here. You see, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, this one here, see this move up right there? Okay. See, day traders often catch this because they can sit there and watch it and kind of take this entire move. And that move would be, you know, a swing trader, it would be difficult to get that move because you're not really sitting there watching it. Look at that, that's about 6%, okay? So sometimes people ask, you know, why do you just go with the 1%? Why don't you take, you know, 2%, 5%, all of that? Well, you can set a 2% or 3% or 5% as your target, but it may take quite a long time before it gets there. By the time you get your 2 or 3%, I might have had, you know, several entries of 1%. That's the difference. Okay. Any other questions? We still have about 10 minutes. All right, I hope, how are the messages in the groups? Are they helpful? Messaging back and forth. Do you have any ideas about that? Do you have any comments about that? Suggestions for the group?
Yes, it is helpful indeed, because we all share our experiences and what we are trading, and sometimes I may not know the stock,
Yeah.
which is quite good. So in that way, the group is really being helpful.
Good, good. Yeah. Someone else might be watching a different stock,
Yeah,
and then we might not be aware of that. But then once they share that, we might get a chance to look at it and profit from that. Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
I was thinking about your last comment that you just made, that uh, like you may make many 1% trade as compared to the one who are holding the stock and waiting for the 6% move right up
Yeah.
there. So like I just want to understand more about that, like how it's possible, because some of the time isn't it possible that just a stock just went up and it just never aligned with our strategy even?
Okay. Yes. See, look at this. You see this? That was about a 6% move.
Yeah.
Okay. But how often do you get that? And how often can you detect that? That's the process. That's the problem. That's the difficulty.
Okay.
Most of the time, you're not able to detect it, except for people that are sitting there with the computer the entire time watching it. That's the only difficulty. You see? And often
Okay.
it's quite nerve-wracking. Now, there are times where I think this happened to several people. It happened to me also recently, where my GTT did not go off and something like this happened. And then I looked and it was like, it was up 4%. So I quickly sold it and then the price went down again. So now I had set a 1% and somehow the GTT did not get triggered. It didn't work. I don't know why. Some weird reason. Once in a while it happens like that. And then sometimes you make a mistake at placing the wrong price or something, or some unusual thing. And that happened to me the other day. I made some kind of mistake. I couldn't figure out what I did, but I ended up making some losses. But you know, that's fine. But for the whole month, you know, I'm still coming out better. So no problem. Okay, other questions or ideas that you may have?
Also, I have observed one more thing.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm just coming up with
No problem,
so many
Moses.
questions. Actually, I've observed one thing, like just after making a 1%, I've observed that most of the time the stock went up, like the 20 crossing the 200, and then the price is moving upward still. So
Okay.
is it, can we not make it a strategy like that, where we are just holding the stock for a more time, and like it's still going uh, up to some points, like 2 or 3%, something like
Okay.
that?
So what you can
Because
do,
I have
Moses,
observed that most of the time.
most of the time. Okay. So if that is the case, what you can do is, like next month, this is November, right? Uh,
Yeah.
you take like a whole month and you
Okay.
experiment with that strategy.
Okay.
Like in December, beginning December 1st, right? Every single stock that you purchase, you set a target of, either 2%, 3%, whatever it is, or 5%. You set that target on something that you think that it will go up that high, and then just leave it there
Hmm.
and see what happens. Like, for example, look at this, where the price has gone below the 20, quite far away from the 20. Okay. But then there's no other indication that we're going to get a good percentage here. Look at this. Okay, there's more than 1% right in there. But it did go up higher. Okay. But what
Okay.
indication do we have that it would happen? There is none. There is no indication,
Yeah.
except that the RSI is quite low and it could keep going up higher. But then the 200 is often quite a strong resistance, but it broke right above the 200. Look at that. And then came back down again. But
Right.
this time, look at that. It kept going up, up and up and up. So
Yeah, this is the time I'm talking about,
right,
where you have placed this arrow, and just below that RSI is low, and our 20 EMA is lower than the 200,
right,
and we bought at that price, and it is still lower,
right.
and see what happening when it is crossing it.
Okay. So my question would be, um, that's about 13, 14% right there, right? My question is, how do you know at this point when you're going to enter, right? Somewhere on here,
Mhm.
how do you know what percentage you will set? That's the only
Yeah,
question.
of course. That we cannot that we cannot consider. For that, we will
Yes.
have to, we need to be sitting before the screen.
Right, right. That's the issue. Yeah. And for most of us, we're working and we're not able to do that. So we don't know exactly. And
Yeah.
then we may have 3 or 4 stocks, and you'd have to have that many screens open to check all of that. That would be difficult to do. But
Yeah.
if you wanted to try something different, what I would recommend is you try it a few times, and then if it seems very interesting to you, take like a month and
Okay.
and then experiment that and work on it for the whole month. You trade like that. Like I told you, I traded the 5-minute chart for some time, and then I switched to the 10-minute, but I did it for a whole month, and then I switched to the 15 because I realized that the paid or the free versions don't have the 10. Is that correct? Some of you have the free version
Yeah.
of this. It doesn't have the 10. So I switched to the 15, and it's still working fine. Yeah. So yes, there are places where you can get a bigger percentage, but the only problem is there's no way for us to know that it is going to go that high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But then these kind of places where, the prices, see, pulled away from the 20 quite a bit lower, and the RSI is low, I would jump into this, because the chances of the price going back up to the 20 and maybe even higher is a good possibility. And right here, you already had more than 1% right there. Okay. Let's see. Some question is there.
Yeah, first Alexi.
Yes, tell me.
So we've kept GTT for 1% or 2%, and then the GTT gets triggered, stock gets sold, fine, and then 1 hour later you see that it's gone up another 2%, and it looks like it'll go up more. So then when you buy it again, and even when you sell it at a higher, like a further 1% to 2%, but when you actually calculate the profit, it is not, it won't be like 4%.
I see.
Somewhere the price gets adjusted. I can't figure that out.
Okay. Are you trying to calculate it the same day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I've first sold it for 1%,
Right.
and then I see that it's gone up higher, so I'm like, oh, it looks like it might go up further. So
Okay.
then I buy it back.
Again, sure.
Yeah. But now this time, obviously, I've bought it at a higher price.
Sure.
And then I sell it again at a much higher price, like maybe
Sure.
2% more.
Right.
But when the actual, so I'm calculating from my base price that,
Right.
oh, okay, I sold it for like 4%.
Okay.
But when I get the actual, when you get the actual calculation, but it's not that, because the
Okay.
price has been adjusted. It's not, they don't calculate it at the base price that when I first bought it.
All right. So for that, write down the name of the stock and then check it the next day after 7 a.m.
That is what I
And-
usually do, but somehow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it again.
Yeah, check it next day, but not in regular Zerodha, but in the what do you call it? The console.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
go
you
to
get the
console.
profit and loss, right?
Yes, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You go into the
Yeah.
console and then you check for just the previous day's trades. And that particular
Yes.
trade will come up. You will know exactly how much you made
Okay,
and
Pastor.
exactly
Got
how
it.
much
I generally
brokerage,
check
taxes,
from the
all of
first
that.
of every month.
Right.
Okay, fine. I'll do that.
Okay.
Because it so happened that I traded this particular stock the same day, like 3 times a day. And then I had a profit of like 5 rupees. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know how it happened. So that's why I got that. So I
Good.
don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, next time you do that, try checking the console the next morning after 7 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just experiment once more.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor
You're
Alexi.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And all of those, all of those
No.
who are beginning to trade and beginning to see profits, I want to recommend, once you're seeing consistent, just add capital to your account each month. Anything, if it's 100 rupees, 1,000, whatever you can. Okay. All right. Anything else, or we can close? It's about
Okay. Okay.
8:30.
That's all, Pastor Alexi. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye now. Tasi,
Yes.
good to see you
Okay.
here. Samuel, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
God bless
Uncle.
you.
Thank you so much. Bye
God
bye.
bless
Thank
you.
you, sir.
God bless you. Okay. Thank you. Bye now.